Hi everyone, welcome back. So it's a bit of a sad article going through the history of or some of the causes and build up to the current issues in Haiti. So the article starts off with the colonial state of Haiti. So it was a French colony. I believe originally it was a Spanish colony. The place where Christopher Columbus landed on the island of Hispaniola was now modern-day Haiti. So if you know anything about the history of Columbus and the brutal colony full of torture and exploitation that he set up, you get some of the idea of that history. But then the Spanish and the French fought one another for control of the island, and they ended up dividing it into two parts. The
Dominican Republic.
The west part is Haiti of Hispaniola, and the east part is Dominican Republic. So the French controlled that part. I think when you hear a French colony, you might think, oh, the French were installing a European-style culture there. That is absolutely not true. It was just a sort of brutal slave colony. The entire island was covered with plantations. A very small number of white people were keeping their imported black slaves from Africa in horrific conditions to maximize their profits. It was incredibly lucrative, incredibly profitable, but the conditions were so terrible, the slaves kept rebelling repeatedly, armed suppression of their rebellions, and led to more brutal slaughter until eventually the slaves rose up under the rather inspirational guidance of a guy called General Louverture. He was an enslaved man who had great sort of tactical, strategic skills, so he managed to sort of organize the rebellion, and they did throw off the French colonizers. Interestingly, they were the first republic. So the first successful anti-colonial rebellion, they created the first black republic in the world, 1804. Obviously, this was not popular among the other slave-owning, colonizing countries. They were surrounded by islands controlled by Britain, France, and Spain. When Haiti got its independence, they completely cut off all supplies and support to the island. They wouldn't trade with them. They left them completely alone because they feared, their own slave colonies rising up against them. But from that beginning, it left them in a really terrible situation. Not enough food. The new General Trousseau died actually before they granted independence. The French demanded. It's a bit like racketeering, when you hear in gangster movies, where the French said, you have to keep paying us reparations. Basically, they wanted the Haitians to keep paying them to stop them reinvading. So, and they did the figures, like in modern currency, if you scale it for inflation, they paid, over 100 years, they paid about $30 billion to France to maintain their independence. But France wouldn't trade with them, and they were completely isolated.
What is France's motto? Equality, liberty, fraternity, something like that?
Oh, yes. Very, and I can't criticize just France. It was Spain and England too, just to absolutely the same degree. But we made it as hard, everybody made it as hard as possible for them to establish themselves, so that when they didn't have enough stuff, there was further rebellions, bad government, bad organization led to constant turmoil. I think around the turn of the century, the Americans got involved. Sorry, yes, Americans, not to be outdone by other colonizing countries. The Americans went in.
Whole hog.
The Haitians owed America a lot of money, so they couldn't say no really to American intervention. But the Americans then tried to block the trade of all Haitian goods with any European countries. They wanted it all coming to America, so it ended up being another kind of exploitative relationship. The Americans took all the gold out of the central bank there for safekeeping. That's never been seen again. Back in Haiti, another intervention after the earthquake, the UN went in to try and offer help, which might have gone better if they hadn't accidentally introduced cholera to the main river and water supply of Haiti. They say it was an accident and they didn't mean to cause the deaths, but a lot of people died during the cholera outbreak. And so now that the Haitians are so anti-outside intervention. Understandably, the foreigners come here and cause nothing but problems, more problems. They say they want to help and they don't help. So yes, that's the problem at the moment, that right now they have no stable government. They've sort of broken up into gang controlled areas, and the culture of violence is understandably out of control, and nobody knows what to do. So that's where we are
that's
right now.
where we are.
That's where we are today. They are still without a government, without any kind of centralized control. The guy who is officially their president, he wasn't elected, and he's outside of Haiti campaigning to the UN, please help us. But a lot of people, like myself, are quite skeptical about how successful any outside intervention is going to be.
Yeah.
But it's all our own fault. Yeah. Don't blame the Haitians.
Yeah.
It's the Europeans and the Americans that caused all this. So there you go. On that really happy note, let's do some expansion questions.
Oh, okay.
So the hero of Haiti is General Louverture, because he led this famous rebellion that was successful. So do you know, or have you heard about any other former slaves in history who are famous for leading rebellions or being freedom fighters? Or
Yeah, I mean, we can go to America for this, because there's quite a huge slave trade and slave exploitation in America for quite a long time. Anyways, one of the most, I should say, one of the biggest slave rebellions was not too long after Haiti became a country, in the I think mid 1800s. Guy named Nat Turner led a rebellion in a certain part of, I think it was Virginia at the time, and was mildly successful for a couple days, but of course oppressed quite quickly, leading to hundreds of unfair deaths to the people, not only the people involved in the actual rebellion, but anyone who happened to be a slave at the time. And that was obviously those types of rebellions that happened in the U.S., just like in Haiti, there was a buildup, keep rebelling, little bit by little bit, and finally there was enough momentum to kind of spearhead a final movement into freedom. So he's pretty famous for as an anti-slavery rebellious leader.
He has a bit of a hero status, because at least he tried,
Yeah, like he was one of the many who were successful in the way of they did do an uprising that was the largest at the time.
I see. Oh, an interesting case. Another possibility that people are floating at the moment of what to do in Haiti is, could they possibly work with the gangs that are controlling various areas to figure out how to bring peace? So what do you think about this? Is it possible that working with the gangs to make a new start for Haiti could bring good results?
Absolutely not. Obviously, the working with the gangs is going to be the same as working with a corrupt government. Really, you should be working with the people who are there making the country what it is, which might include some of the gang members, yes, but not the gang leadership. I think working with leadership that has already proven itself to be violent, corrupt, and creating situations that are bad for its own people, it's not a good thing to work with. Yeah. So now, if the gangs were called gangs, but they're actually just rebelling and then treating their people well, that's a different story, because now they've proven themselves to be good at taking care of the population that is there in Haiti, but they haven't. They're very brutal, I've heard.
True, yeah. That term gang, we're getting that from Western media.
Yeah.
That's their assessment, but is that true?
Yeah, and maybe the brutality of the gangs, it's like this one tiny gang in this area has been brutal, and the rest of them have been doing great stuff for their community, or trying to. You never know with propaganda these days, but from what I've heard, it seems to be quite violent.
Well, my heart goes out to those in Haiti. I hope somebody somewhere figures out what to do for the best to at least stop people from dying in this violence. So go and check out the vocabulary section. Try and keep it orderly. Don't be too chaotic. and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Embrace.
Embrace.
Intervene.
Intervene.
De facto.
De facto.
Successor.
Successor.
Extort.
Extort.